Good morning, everybody. Welcome to an exciting episode of Story with Ori. All right, as you see in front of me, I got burrata ricotta cheese from the Stefano Cheese. This company was formed by an Italian who started out at a young age in Puglia. His name is Mimmo. Mimmo, good morning. I want everybody to know your story because you and millions of other people like yourself are the people that make up our country and why this country is such a great country. It's from the immigrants who come here to do things. Now, I know your story, how you, after school at the age of 12, would you tell our audience your story, please?
Well, it will take a couple years, but I will make it short. So basically, I grew up in Australia. My parents decided to move to Australia when I was a year old, and then the time I was about 9 years old, my parents decided to go back to Italy, and now I had a difficulty speaking the language, the Italian language, so I wasn't really good at school. So I had to drop school to go work into a cheese plant, which was across the street from my house, maybe a block away. And at the age of 12, I was start cleaning vats, cleaning the floors, and getting waters for the cheesemakers, making sure they were not thirsty. And then by the age of 14, I became one of their cheesemaker because, as you know, as a child, your brain is like a sponge, absorbs everything. So just by looking, I didn't have to go by the science or by the meters like others. I mean, as a little kid, you can learn really fast. And I learned really fast how to make cheese just by measures, just by eyes, and I was making the best cheese. So for uh, for about 6 years, I was working in the cheese plant, and then back then in Italy, it was mandatory to go to the army. So by the age of 18, I had to leave my job making cheese and go to the army, which I spent 3 years in the army um, working for the police force. So after that, in the meantime, I met this beautiful woman which lived in California. She was also Italian, and I had a contact with her. So I decided to drop the military and come to America. So when I came to Los Angeles, um, I was walking around and going to restaurants, but I was doing a completely different job. I was not making cheese. I was actually selling marbles and
Selling marbles?
marbles, yeah, imported marble from Italy. And but then I will go to restaurants and I will taste the mozzarella, and I'm like, wow, that doesn't taste right, right? So I went to meet the guy that was making it. It was in San Pedro, and when I met with the guy told me that, well, the milk is not good, so he's doing the best that he can out of the milk that he had in California. But I always had it in the back of my mind saying, milk, why milk is not good? I mean, it's a cow. Cow produces milk. Milk is milk. So I got some milk and I went home and I made the mozzarella and it came really good. I went back to the guy that told me the milk was not good, and I say, try this mozzarella. When he tried it, he said, well, this is really good, but it's easier to make a small batch. When you make big batch, you loses the flavor. I said, that's not true. I mean, small batch, big batch, if you know what you're doing. So he offered me a job back then. Said, would you come and work for me? And I'm like, how much are you going to pay me? He said, I pay you 375 an hour. I'm like, wow, I'm going backwards here, right? And I said, no, thank you.
$3.75.
Yeah,
Was
back
that
in
minimum wage back
that
then?
was minimum wage back in 1988, 89. The minimum wage was like 370, 380 about an hour. And I said, no, thank you. I continued doing the marble business. But in the back of my mind, there was always that thought, which one day I decided to look around, and I started with a small plant making cheese. I will make cheese during the night, mozzarella and ricotta. And Then in the morning, when I was done making it, I would put it in the van and just go toward the door to all the restaurants, walk into a kitchen, try the mozzarella. They tried, they placed an order. A few months doing this, the cheese plant that I went to visit, they said that the milk was not the same. That's why his mozzarella was not good. We're not a business. Now, obviously, then I found out that the owner of this cheese plant was from Palermo, Sicily. And every day he was stalking me, parking, and just staring at me with his van right across from my plant. All right. And we just stayed there, giving me dirty looks, right? Letting me know that he was from Palermo, Sicily. Be careful, I'm connected and I can destroy you. But he didn't know my experience that I had in Italy. So in Italy, when I did the army, I was actually in Palermo fighting the mafia.
Right.
That was my job back
The
then.
blue helmet.
Yeah, with the blue, it was called the blue helmets. So I knew people too, right? So there was another gentleman in Los Angeles, which I knew he was also from Palermo, was a friend of mine, and I told him the story. He said, "Don't worry about it. I'll be there in the morning," and I have a talk to him. So next morning he comes. We're waiting in the office. We're having coffee, and not even half an hour, the guy shows up. Said, "There he is, right there." So the guy went outside. He talked to him. Never showed up again. So, and the whole thing started then. And today we have a 50,000 square foot cheese plant in Pomona, California. We have our cows in Ontario, Chino area, where we get fresh milk every day.
You own the cows?
We contract the cows with the farmers, so it's like we own them. So basically, we tell the farmers that certain amount of cows are dedicated only for us, and those cows we make sure that they fed right, which we feed them high quality hay, which is called alfalfa, which this alfalfa will produce you a high quality of milk, which has a higher butterfat and high protein and casein. That's what you need to get a really quality mozzarella. Because when you're making mozzarella, you're making a pasta filata. So you're not making a pressed cheese. When you're making a pressed cheese means like any aged cheese, right? So no matter what kind of milk you have to separate anyway. You have to take some fat out because you have to lower the fat to make aged cheese. Otherwise, it won't age. But on fresh mozzarella, which is considered pasta filata, you need milk that has to be specified at a certain high fat, certain protein, and certain casein to get a really good quality. So to obtain that, that's why I decided to go to Pomona, California, because it's the last city at the end of the LA County. Right after Pomona, it starts to San Bernardino County. And that's where you find all the cows, the farmers. So we we partnered with this farmer, GH Dairy, which is a big in the industry. And we say we need so much milk a day. So the guy told us, okay, this is how many cows I have to put on the side for you guys. So those cows are completely treated different from others, because the rest of his milk goes for Hispanic cheese company, which they make all the cheese that they make doesn't really require a high quality. Because again, not because the cheese that they make is not high quality, it is high quality, but they're not making pasta filata. Pasta
No,
filata,
I want to go slow there. Pasta filata
yeah.
is what it's really
Yeah,
is.
because what it is that you, as any other kind of cheeses, you have to start by making curd, right? Now that from that curd, you can decide what kind of cheese you make. And it depends on what kind of enzyme you're putting in the curd to get the flavor of an Hispanic cheese or an Italian cheese. But when you're making pasta filata, it's not only making curd and pressing it in forms and just to let it age. Pasta filata, you make the curd and then you have to stretch it with hot water. Then when you're stretching the curd, that's when you need a really high quality of milk, because while you're stretching with really hot water, right? So the hot water will start pouring out some fat and protein, which that fat and protein that is poured out, then it's used to make cream, We separate that, then we make cream, which is then used to make a burrata. Which a burrata is today became one of the number one cheese sold in the world. And when I introduced the burrata 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago in California, was not even known in Italy. So burrata comes from a little region in Italy called Puglia. And I started making burrata when I was 12 years old, 13, 14 years old. But the time I left Italy, uh, burrata was only known in a few cities in Puglia. If you went outside Puglia, or even in the same region, there was a lot of people didn't know what burrata
Which
was.
province is Puglia in? Catanzaro?
No, Puglia is a region.
It is a region.
Is right on the east, on the Atlantic Ocean, right across from Greece. Yeah, so it's on the other side of Calabria.
Right.
Calabria is on the tip of the food. Puglia is on the hill. Yeah, so if you went outside Puglia, so here I am in Los Angeles, start reproducing burrata. And I used to go to all the Italian chefs, all the customers that I have, and nobody knew what it was. And they didn't even want to put it on the menu. And because they didn't know what it was. And finally, I saw this restaurant on La Brea, was called Campanile. And right across from Campanile, in the same building, they had La Brea Bakery.
Oh, yeah.
So I walked in the back in the kitchen, and I met for my first time, and this is more than 30 years ago, I met Nancy Silverton. And she was at the beginning of starting La Brea Bakery. So I said, "What do you want to try this cheese? It's called burrata." She didn't even know what it was, but she gave it a chance, and she tried the burrata, and she put it as a special that night in a restaurant in Campanile. The day after, there was a big article on Los Angeles Times about the burrata. And now, in the next few days, I had calls from all the ones that I went prior that said they didn't know what it was, they didn't want it, now asking for burrata. Today, burrata became the number one cheese sold worldwide. Everybody wants burrata. I mean, now you have all the big players from Wisconsin or the East Coast they didn't even know what it was, trying to get into the business making burrata. Now everyone is making burrata. They are confusing the consumer because let's say someone that never had burrata before will try a burrata made from these big players, right? And they think that's the right burrata. Then when they try ours, they say, "Oh, but this is different." Well, this is the original one, you know. So it all goes, you know how it is. It's like when pizza was introduced into to America, everybody thought there was the pizza they were making in New York. Some of them say pizza was invented in New York. So, but now you can see also on the pizza size.
Now, where was the pizza invented?
Well,
It wasn't in New York.
no, it wasn't.
No.
No, it was actually the margherita was started in Naples, made with was dedicated. Actually, pizza was made the first time for the Regina Margherita. That's why you have the pizza called Margherita. They decided they made this pizza with tomatoes and the fresh buffalo mozzarella on it, and they called it Margherita for the honor that she was visiting. Queen Margherita was visiting Naples, and they made her this pizza. That's why they call it Margherita.
I have a question regarding the milk. I go to the grocery store, I buy a gallon of milk. Okay? That milk is not the kind of milk that you're using the milk directly from the cows, correct?
Yes. So when you go into a store and you buy, as you know, there's a whole milk and there's a part skim milk. So the farmers, what they do is some of the farmers they have the milk bottling plant, and some of them they sell them to the bottling where they bottle the milk. So when the milk they buy raw milk like I do, but when it goes into the process, that milk is pasteurized and it's homogenized because and then they separate. It depends on because they have to standardize the fat of the milk. So if you want a whole milk, the whole milk, they have to standardize it at 3.738. So if the milk is 4, they have to take 2% of fat of it. To make a low fat like a 2% milk, they have to take almost 1.8% fat out of the milk. And the reason they homogenize the milk is because before the homogenizer came out, and you should remember that when you bought a gallon, before they used to deliver milk in a glass bottle, right? And you keep it on the table, it will separate. The cream will come to the top, and you see the bottom on the bottom. So you have to shake the milk to mix it again. So now they homogenize it. When homogenizing the milk, what it is, it's a big piston system where the fat is formed in globes, in little like little balls, and they have a small one, big ones, you know. So that's why they float to the top, right? So all the fat will float because it's all little balls. So that's how the fat is composed. So these pistons, to homogenize, what they do is they squeeze with a high pressure all these balls. They squeeze them, right? And once they break these balls, now it becomes all one. It will not separate anymore. So if you had to go to a store and buy milk from the store and trying to make fresh mozzarella, you cannot make it. It's not going to stretch because the milk has been homogenized.
Right. Now, you know, you're a hard worker. You've been working since you were 12 years old.
Yes.
Learning every single day. You shared a story with me the other day, and we happen to know the same individual that owned Trilusa restaurants. And how you got that account, that you made an appointment.
No, actually, I didn't make an appointment. Like I said, when I started making fresh mozzarella, I would make the mozzarella and I trying to make a sale. By making the sale was going door to restaurants
Right.
and sell. So I came across this restaurant in Beverly Hills called the Trilusa. And I walked in, it was actually on a Saturday, and they told me that who made the decision to buy the fresh mozzarella and the ricotta back then, burrata was still not made in those years, I was not making burrata yet, was Angelo Molli. So I said, okay, where can I meet Angelo Molli? He said, he will be at our other location in Santa Monica. So I get to Santa Monica, it was about 7 o'clock in the evening. I said, I'm going to go. That's when they told me he's going to be there. So I got to Santa Monica at 7 p.m. And I asked for Angelo Molli, said he should be any time. So they make me sit outside in the patio, and I had these cheeses with me on the table waiting for Angelo Molli, and he showed up at 11 o'clock at night. And I was still waiting for him outside. So he came rushing outside saying, hey, they told me you've been waiting here for over 5 hours. I said, yeah, I'm waiting for you. He said, what do you need? I'm like, I want you to try some cheese. And he started laughing. He sat down and he tried the cheese. He made some pizza. And right after the meeting, was almost midnight, he told me, okay, he placed me an order for Beverly Hills and Santa Monica that at the days I didn't have the capacity to make the orders that he gave me. And I was like now working night and day just to fulfill his orders for the two restaurants. And he's the one that actually gave me volume to continue making the mozzarella.
Now, see, you know, I like to use that as a motivational thing. He sat there for 5 hours. He could have gotten up after an hour, walked away, but he stayed there. That's the motivation, the inspiration, the desire that you need to succeed in any business that you do.
Absolutely.
All right, and look at, he went home, and from it you were working, and you were making your garage at the time.
Exactly.
Folks, that's an amazing story. All right, from a young boy in Puglia who learned how to went to work at 12 to learn how to make this cheese. And here he is, the biggest guy in Los Angeles, and you're throughout the nation now.
Yes, we are in all over the states, plus we ship overseas as well.
It's just an amazing story. And you know, folks, this country is made up of people like Mimmo every single day. We need more immigrants coming to this country. Because all immigrants are not killers or drug dealers, as you hear on TV all the time. Our country our nation was built on immigrants. This is one example. I'm going to be having many more. But Mimo, in one part of your life, in the military, the blue helmet. People here don't know what the blue helmet is. I studied a little bit. It's a very elite squad over in Italy.
Yes, it is. I mean, I went in when I was 18. Like I said, back then, military was mandatory. And as I went to the military, this captain came in from the Blue Helmets, and he chose all the tallest and more bigger guys, and he called us in a room, explaining to us what this force is and if he wanted to join. But what really attracted me was when they said what the pay was. So back in those days, a paycheck, I would say in dollars, because back then was in lires in Italy. So it's thousands of lires, which you will transfer in, I would say, about $600 a month. That was the paychecks per month they were getting in Italy. And when they offered us to join this group, it was $600 a week. So the pay was 4 times more than any average
Holy,
paycheck.
$600 a week in the military.
Yeah, but in the blue. So then they had to train us, Arthur Marsh, and they had to explain to us, I mean, all the secrets. And matter of fact, right after the academy, we were sent right to start the Maxi Processo in Palermo. And that's when it started in 1984. And the Maxi Processo back then was done by the judge Giovanni Falcone.
Yeah.
He was trying to stop the mafia, and as all we know, 1992, he was killed by a big explosion in Palermo as he was driving from the airport to the city. And so our job was basically to maintain all this, the judge, and make sure that nothing was corrupted, that everything went by, and he can only trusted us because we were really trained to do that.
$600 a week.
Yeah.
Do you know in 1963, I joined the Army here. You know how much money I made then?
How much?
$74.50 a month.
Yeah. Well, back when
How many liras would that be?
there would have been 75, so will be the dollars. It will have been 1,500 liras.
Boy, so it would have been a lot of money over there.
Yeah. No, wait. 1,000.
No,
Yeah,
About
no. It would
300.
have been about 250 lira.
250.
Yeah.
Holy Christ. There's still a lot of money in Italy then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, considering not all Italy, depends. If you go to the big cities in Italy, the rents are high. But for example, small cities, like even in Puglia or Sicily, you can find a rent is no more than $350 a month. But again, the paycheck now, a regular paycheck is $1,200 to $1,300 a month.
Yeah. Now, I've had this cheese. It's really great. The milk process. And you started in San Pedro.
No, San Pedro is where the
Where you were working.
no, that's
No.
where the other cheese plant
The
used to
other
be.
one did.
Yeah.
But
I
people-
started the first cheese plant. I started in Pico Rivera.
Pico Rivera.
Yeah. And then I built the brand new facility, the state-of-the-art facility where you visit.
It's quite a facility, folks. It's sanitized and the workers working daily. You have over 100 employees.
Yes, over 100 employees, 3 shifts a day, Monday through Friday.
It's
Weekends-
100 people per shift.
No, It will be almost 120 people divided in 3 shifts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you are responsible for over 500 people.
No, 120 total.
It's 120 that are working,
Oh,
but
plus
they
the
got
family.
families. They got families.
I hope they're working too, right?
Yeah. So, anything you like to tell our audience in leaving?
Nothing. I mean, I hope my story inspires everyone that, for example, I tell a lot of people that I meet today from Italy that they come to America, but the biggest mistake they make is to live in Hollywood, Beverly Hills, right? And I always tell them, if you really want to make it, you have to start from scratch, from the bottom. And the bottom means living outside Hollywood, outside Beverly Hills, because you don't have distractions. By living in Hollywood, Beverly Hills has a lot of distraction, and the money you make, it would not even last for the end of the month just to live in Hollywood and Beverly Hills.
That's
So
correct.
still today, I don't live in Hollywood. I don't live in Beverly Hills. I live outside, about 50 miles east from here. Beautiful area, but clean. I mean, it's a really clean area because we don't see, how you call them, the
Homeless?
homeless. We don't see dirty. I mean, it's all clean, and the life it's more less expensive to live over here. I mean, you can buy a beautiful home for 1/3 of a price that you can buy out here, and then you can come on the weekend and have fun in Hollywood, right?
You could always do that there.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in Beverly Hills. I always
Yeah,
have.
but you are already retired, and you don't have to worry about putting money on the side.
Retired? I never retired. I feel retirement is when you're going to go die.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, retirement is not within me. I love hustling. I love working every day.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm doing a lot of good, helping a lot of people out, and bringing people, this information that you're learning today from this gentleman, folks. This is a motivational story. He came here from Italy, began this here with nothing, and what he has today. You can do it if you had the desire, the willingness. It's got to be in your stomach, and the willingness to learn. In today's world, people don't want to learn. They think they know everything. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Mimmo.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did. Thank you.